All right, guys, we are live. This is the Shillan and Duffy recap show for UFC Vegas 106, UFC Vegas Burns versus Morales, UFC Morales versus Burns. I am your host. My name is Keith Shillan. I am not joined by Ben Duffy. As anybody who's watching online, not listening to the audio, I don't know if you're even doing audio for this show, but I don't know where Ben is. I think something about like a Young Guns reunion was going on tonight, so he had to be there for that. But sorry, but joining me is the best villain we could find, the great Dayne Fox. Dayne, what's up, my man? How you doing?
Doing well. Surprisingly upbeat about the way that the fight card went down because, a lot of times you get those Apex cards and you just kind of, it's a slog, but this one was pretty brisk, pretty quick, and a lot of good action on it. So I'm doing really well right now.
Yeah, good, man. Let's, we got a really, it wasn't a stacked card. And I know, of course, I saw people, the real like company man being like, oh, people shit on this card and oh, look how great it was and how much it delivered. And yeah, it absolutely delivered. And we've said that could happen. I mean, you can go to a high school football game. Actually, I'll give you a perfect example. My daughter's softball team today. We're talking about Rhode Island softball played a game into the 12th inning against Smithfield, Coventry High School versus Smithfield High School. Great game. They're not going to make a movie about it. You know what I mean? It is there's a standard,
Well, and you both. I think it's usually Ben who says it, but I've heard you say it as well. Fights is better than no fights at all. So we acknowledge that 100%. So when we're crapping on it, it's just like, look, if you're going to give me a hamburger, I'll eat it. But is this, I'll take a steak over a hamburger any day.
Yeah. Shout out to MMA Rax. He was a guest on Johnny's UFC Fight Pass show this week, and he said he listened to us. But hey, that's cool, man. That's awesome. That I wish you would have told us that. I wish you would have shared. If something like that happens again, and that's just for any listeners. If you got a podcast or something like that, dude, throw it in the comments so people can check it out.
Along those lines, I don't know if any of you guys do follow MMA Rax. He throws out some pretty good betting advice. He made a killing tonight, so. If you're interested in that type of stuff, give him a follow on X.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. So let's get into the fights. We had 12 fights to get scheduled. The MMA gods were good to us and spared us from having to watch Paul Craig. That fight got canceled last minute. We have 11 fights. So let's start right in the main event. And shout out to all the people in the chat. We'll try to get to as many comments as possible. People are blowing up. My man Bob Gibson coming out excited. All caps. I love where was it? I think it was Porterman said he had a Red Bull. Speaking of which, I went to the doctors this week, actually yesterday, and they told me I gotta cut down on my Monster energy drinks. Not good for me. I usually drink 2 a day, sometimes 3 a day if we do a really late pay-per-view or something. My doctor told me, like, yeah, you're going to die if you keep drinking those. So hopefully I can wean off, but I'm so addicted. Can we get at least get a sponsorship from an energy deal? But let's get into it. First, the main fight, Gilbert Burns, former UFC title challenger, been successful in 2 different weight classes in the UFC, took on rising young prospect, only 25 years old and undefeated, Michael Morales. Morales was a big favorite, and a lot of times those are trap fights. When you're a big favorite, step up in competition, a lot of times people will fail under the pressure. That was not the case of Mike Morales. He absolutely aced it. If this was the SATs, the dude just got a 1600. The guy's getting into Harvard. You know what I mean? Like he just got a full ride. Harvard, Yale, Brown, whatever you want, dude. Holy shit! Talk to me about Michael Morales.
Oh god, I've been high on Morales for a long time. And he's just kind of slowly. The UFC's done it right with him. They've taken their time. They've given him steady increments to work his way up to the point now where he took on Gilbert Burns. Burns is a favorite of a lot of the people who follow sport closely. He doesn't have a massive name that, like say somebody like Cowboy Cerrone. He doesn't have the name quite like that, but if you pay attention to MMA, Gilbert Burns is really good. And just like you said, he just blasted right through him. It was almost like no effort. He looked like he was twice as big as Burns in the cage. But part of that is because Burns did look a little bit leaner than what he had recently. But regardless, Burns physically looked like he was in the best shape that he has been in the last couple of years, and he had nothing to offer Morales. Like I remember he scored a leg kick. That's about it. Morales just did whatever the hell he wanted with him. And credit to Burns for being tough, but after he hit the mat the first time, I felt like he should have just stayed down because Morales was all over him. As soon as he got back to his feet, Morales just continued the onslaught. It was a brutal one-sided affair.
Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely flawless. I love what John Butterfield said. He said Morales beating Magny and Burns with ease deserves more respect than just Burns is done. Way to go, kid. Yeah, I don't think that Burns is done by any means. No. Obviously, he's not in his prime anymore, and I think that's safe to say. But obviously, he's still a tough challenge. But I mean, being so young and just absolutely thriving against two veterans, and the way he did, like two super tough guys, regardless. Like we've seen these guys lose. I think of like Neil Magny. Every time I remember Neil Magny, and I know he got ran through a couple times, but like RDA like ran through him one time and stuff, but like you have to be special to run through these guys, and that's kind of where he is. So some things that obviously stood out to me is the size difference. The guy's humongous, welterweight. Obviously, you always gonna look bigger. Well, he's not. I should say he's a good size. Well, he's not humongous, but like when you stand next to Gilbert Burns, it's always gonna look much bigger. And the other thing that just stands out to me, dude's 25 years old.
Yeah,
like he is years from his prime. He's big. He's strong. He's good grappler. He's super accurate. I mean, he could not miss tonight. You talked about him. He dropped Burns. Burns, gets up. He dives in on a takedown, gets it up, and I was so impressed how I was like, oh man, he hurt him. But like, Gilbert Burns is a bad dude on the ground.
Yeah,
and Morales is popping to his feet up. It looked like, but this is like world champion level grappling. He just gets right up and just tosses them right off, and then finishes them. Wow, like I mean, there's no way that he's not top of the bill, the Bulls list for us. I mean, that's no brainer. This was I think of like when every star has that moment when they get tested, and then you get the, wow, this guy really is the real deal. Like I think of, okay, let me think of some guys like who, all right. Islam Makhachev just ran right through like Bobby Green.
Oh yeah,
just runs right through him. Like makes him like that's a good test, and it just makes him seem like absolutely nothing. And this is even higher. This is Gilbert Burns in a main event. I mean, holy shit, did he look good?
Yeah, I think another good example to throw out there, like I'm sure a lot of people remember. Conor McGregor was fed up through the UFC machine. They took their time with him. They were very careful with him. But when he got matched up against Chad Mendes, a lot of people were thinking, "Oh, sweet, we're never going to have to see him fight Jose because Mendes is a stylistic nightmare matchup for him." That wasn't the case. I mean, don't get me wrong, Mendes had some success in that fight, but McGregor ended up persevering and beat him down. It's kind of like that in my mind. When you talk about somebody who you feel like they've met their match, they've got a tough veteran test now, bad stylistic matchup, because Morales is still relatively untested on the mat, but like you said, he didn't give Burns a chance there. So that's credit to Morales in the sense that if you can keep yourself from having to use your grappling, well, that means that you're doing pretty good on the grappling end of things.
So the one thing we do at this show is like we're not the stats guys. We leave that to Jay Petrie. Jay Petrie's a great stat guy. There's other guys from other stats guys. But last week I gave a date, and it was for Jack Della Maddalena when he versus Bazile when he had that fight where people jumped off. So I'm gonna give you another one like that. When was the last time someone stopped Gilbert Burns in the first round of a contest?
First round. Would this be back in his lightweight days?
It was. It was. I'll give you a hint. The guy who beat him as a lightweight, but was also he himself used to fight at a different weight class, which is crazy when you hear the guy I'm talking about, that he used to fight at a different weight class. I just give it to you.
Yeah,
it was Dan Hooker in 2018.
Oh man,
he was knocked out.
That was his last. That was his last one at lightweight, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that's before. And he was just a guy then. He wasn't special. He was just a guy. Since then, and I just wrote down names, in no particular order, but he went the distance with Sean Brady, who is obviously one of the hot commodities in the division. He went the distance with Chimaev, the only guy to make Chimaev look human. Well, I mean, I guess Usman did to a point, but he gave Chimaev the best fight. Former champion Bilal Muhammad, he went the distance with. Jack Della Maddalena, the current champion, his 2 fights ago, or 1 fight removed from winning the title, had to come back in the 3rd round to get the win. Usman, when he was the champion, had to get the win in the 3rd round, kind of come back, or not come back, but Burns hurt him early in that fight. So yeah, some people, and I know this is going to happen. Some people, and so far no one in the chat is doing this, but some people, like you mentioned, is going to write it off as, oh, you beat an old has-been or this and that. That old has-been has still been performing. Now he's on a 4-fight losing streak, but he hasn't looked terrible.
And look at the names that he's losing to. I mean, you've already named them all, but Bilal Muhammad, former champion, Della Maddalena, current champion, Sean Brady. Before last week, he was listed as the top contender in the UFC's official rankings. And
could be
Morales. Yeah. And now Morales. And there's not an easy fight in any of those whatsoever.
I love what Nonprofit said. It reminded me of Jones versus Shogun. And obviously, and I think that goes back to a comment a couple above him by Dirty Rag 22 said man versus child. I don't think he meant because obviously John Jones won the title that night, and John Jones went on to be the greatest of all time. And other than Bob Simpson, I don't know if anybody's calling Michael Morales going to be the greatest of all time. I mean, he's just young and he's well on his way so far, but I think just means a style where he just you manhandle the guy. It looked like all right. Today I went to wrestling practice. My son was there. He was, when they say, "Oh, switch partners," they grab somebody else. And then there's times it's like an elementary school age kid wrestling with a very good junior high kid. My second, I always say, "Hey, work on your stance, work on your setups." But at the end of the day, he shoots on a leg. There's nothing he can do. He grabbed the leg. The kid just still sprawls on him or cross face and do whatever he wants to him. That's what it looked like tonight.
Yeah.
It's the one, if you're Gilbert Burns cornerman, you go, "Hey, you got that takedown. That was good." You got try to build up wow, hey, that was awesome. This looked like the freaking Knicks versus the Celtics last night.
Oh,
I mean,
going for the low blow.
yeah, it's my own area, my own team. So, but we also lost our star player. So.
No, but nobody will ever accuse you of being a homer because nobody rips on the New England cartel more than you do. So
yeah, I have a little bit of homer when it comes to New England, especially like Tom Brady and Patriots and stuff like that. But let's do this. So a week ago, I gave my order, and I don't know if you got to listen to the show, but we do our pick up the phone, and my first call was Islam Makhachev. And they already announced he's getting that one. Islam, he's obviously had, he doesn't fight often. That's the one knock on the guy, really. Say something happens. Islam gets hurt. Jack Della Maddalena needs an opponent. You're Dayne, you're matchmaker, you're picking up the phone. Give me the order. How far until you get to Michael Morales?
Oh, okay. Number one, Shopcott, largely because they gave him the shot and he's done nothing to lose it. Number two, Brady. Number three, probably Gary. Let me look at a list really quick.
Tonight, so the guys that are kind of in that contention now would really be Morales, and a rematch against Bilal Muhammad. Does he jump Bilal Muhammad?
Yes, he jumps Muhammad. So the question I have is, if Buckley beats Usman, I might put Buckley ahead of Morales. But as it sits right now, given we don't know the outcome of that fight, Morales would be number 4.
Yeah, and also how it happens matters. If Buckley wins a snoozer, which I mean, I doubt that fight would be a snoozer. But if it's if it's a clinch fast or it's a low output distance kickboxing match, not many people are calling for Buckley to win, Buckley to get the call. So I like your order. Mine is. I agree with you, Shavkat. The undefeated thing, all the stoppages. I know he didn't stop his last opponent, but he has that incredible stretch. He was already, like you said, was offered the shot, kind of got pulled, because of injury. My second call, Sean Brady deserves it most. Totally agree. I'm still calling Ian Gary first. I'm just because he'll sell it and he has, love him or hate him, he has incredible charisma. When he sits,
no, he does.
He's one of those guys. When I'm like on YouTube and I'm sure everybody has this way. Like you click on YouTube, like the little icon, and you get the videos you like, watch it. So I get loaded with obviously MMA interviews. I get loaded with and NCAA wrestling and in highlight instructional videos and stuff like that. I watch those. I get some political things, some home improvement stuff. But there's certain people I'm scrolling by. Like it's a post fight interview. It's I don't know. It's who won tonight? That I would just scroll by. Costa, and I'm a Costa guy. But I scroll by it. If I see, I mean, I was watching Ian Gary interviews this week. He didn't even fight. You know what I mean? Because he's going to say something funny. He has this natural. He draws you in. So I'm going to call him. While this and I love to live in the moment. I am a victim of the moment. Morales is getting the third call for me. He's jumping Brady. Just the 25 years old. He doesn't deserve it over him. Brady's beating the higher echelon guys. But that 0 in the column, that incredible performance in his last one, not being challenged yet. 25 years old. I'm going Morales. Guys, tell me why I'm crazy, why I'm wrong, why he shouldn't be the third call.
I'll tell you why Morales would be ahead of Brady, and it's because the UFC is a business first and a sports second.
Yeah, exactly. And Ben is a lot more of a purist than I am. You're a little bit more of a purist than I am. I don't think I'm purely a business guy, but I have a little bit of balance. I like this little bit of balance.
Yeah. No, and I'm not saying I don't understand that. I clearly understand that. Just I would like to see if you believe enough in the sport and you let it play out how it should, then the business will come. But obviously, I understand that there's going to be exceptions to the rule. So,
do you watch that movie Founder? The story about McDonald's, how McDonald's started and everything.
Oh, I've heard that, but yeah.
I don't know how accurate it is. Well, anyways, long story. I'll give you the 20-second rundown. Long story short, these two guys had a fast food joint. I can't think of his name. Michael Keaton. His character is a door-to-door salesman type personality. Goes into this McDonald's, blown away with fast service. They didn't have it back then. He gets these guys. Long story short, they work with him as a business. He's a sleazeball business guy. They're the small hometown, purist who wants everything this exact way. McDonald's. He turns it into thing. Long story. He rips him off. Blah blah blah. You get it. I don't think I'm not that far, but I'm definitely not like you and Ben are running the McDonald's in San Bernardino. You're the originals. Let's do it to pure. And I'm like, man, fuck that shit. Let me get some chicken McNuggets and let's go. That's me. I'm probably not quite as far as Ben, but I admit I probably do lean more along the lines with Ben. But
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask this question. If you ran a McDonald's, would you be okay with powdered, using fake powder in water to make a milkshake, even if it tastes the same?
I'd be okay with that.
And it faster. Okay, so all right, I see a little bit. That's like a big thing in this. But anyways, I don't want to go down. But this is the movie review hour. But listen, guys, we're gonna be breezing through. We're gonna be breezing through the prelims. Let's do this because Dayne, I mean, one thing that me and Ben we try not to do is make predictions on future fights because obviously for two reasons. I prefer going into tape study, but also like. If I say Morales is going to be insert next guy, well, when that matchup gets made, no one's going to want to watch the show. We already know you guys picked this guy. So let's do this with you. So I pulled up the UFC rankings. The Sherdog rankings. Michael Morales was 15th heading into, obviously, it hasn't been updated yet. Let's do this. Tell me when to stop. He beat our number 12, Gilbert Burns. So we'll automatically move him right to number 12. We'll go from that point on, okay? You just tell me who wins. Michael Morales, Joaquin Buckley. Right now. This is not like in the future. This is like this fight happens 3 months from now. Who wins?
Morales.
All right. We're going to move up. There's a couple guys who are not in the UFC, so we're going to skip them. This is a tough one. Number 8. And throw in the chat, guys, what you would do too. Number 8, Ian Machado Gary. It's tough.
That one's hard. I'd probably say Gary.
All right, so that's where you're cutting it off.
Yeah.
So that's your cutoff. And obviously that doesn't mean guys ranked above Gary, you wouldn't take Morales over. But I just wanted to show something for a second. We're absolutely fawning over Morales. And from 8 up, it is hard. Even Buckley at 11, it's hard saying, "Oh, this is the guy." You know, he's going to win. It's also like hard to say he wouldn't win. You know, it's like he could probably beat everybody. And Bob Sims is blowing up the chat right now saying he could go all the way to number 1. Totally agree with Bob. Like it's totally a possibility, but it's also a possibility that he can't get by number 11. And all I wanted to do was that just to show how incredibly stacked welterweight is.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely true.
Let's do this real quick. Well, I'll put you on the clock. We'll do speed round. We'll skip over Jason Jackson. Just tell me who wins right now. Number 6, Leon Edwards.
Morales.
All right, we got to skip up again. The Ramazan from Bellator. We're skipping overhead. Number 4. Sean Brady. That's tough, right?
Brady. That's tough, though. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not going to give an answer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're giving me limited time to say it, so
yeah. I'll give you 20 seconds. I'll put you on the spot. Number 3, Shafkat.
Oh, I'll say Shafkat, but
yeah. Number 2, Bilal Muhammad. It's tough, right?
Oh man, no, that was very tough. Because no, absolutely, I can see avenues on both, you know. But after last week, I might lean more towards Morales with Bilal, just because, you know, Della Madalena's pinpoint striking was able to piece up a Bilal, and I think Morales has more power to him than Della Maddalena. And some of those shots, I'm shocked that Bilal was still there. But would that be the case if Morales landed a clean one on him like that? I don't know. So it's hard. Like, I think Morales could beat anybody ahead of him right now. I'm just not 100% sure of it.
I give you some. Nonprofit is taking Morales over Brady. Nonprofit's taking Shafkat over Morales, though. Nonprofit's taking Morales over Bilal. Bob Simpson's taking
Morales
Bob Simpson.
Everybody.
He's doing the like. How many gorillas does it take to beat Michael Morales? He's all in.
He is Jimson, so that makes sense. That's where he would go.
Yeah. All right, I'll give you one more just for fun. The number one guy, Jack Della Maddalena. And again, I know it's not fair. I'm putting you right on the spot. No case study.
Morales. This one is very hard. It's very hard just because I feel like Della Maddalena is a better matchup for Morales than some of those other fighters. So.
And one thing I want to say that we probably should have mentioned this last week, how it's actually somehow easier to win the title than it is to get to the title at welterweight. And that's not a shot at Jack Della Maddalena, not a shot at anybody. It's more of it's easier to be great and beat the top guy in one night than it is to be great for years and have to go through murder's row after like fighter after fighter after fighter who are stud. You know, so that's what I meant by that's not a knock on Jack Della. I mean, he looked incredible last week. All right, so let's do it. Let's matchmake Morales. So I gave you the gauntlet. I told you all the guys. Who you match him up with next? And guys in the chat, throw in you're the matchmaker. I saw someone say Prates already, but we'll throw it in the chat. If you're the matchmaker, Michael Morales next. What are you doing? And also give me like, is it on a pay-per-view? Is it on Fight Night main event? What are you doing? So I'm gonna give you both of those questions.
Leon.
Okay.
I say give him Leon. And it depends on what they're doing. Like if it's a pay-per-view in London or something like that, make it a co-main event. If it's Fight Night in London, make it the main event.
Yeah, John Butterfield threw that one out. Dirty Reg went Mo versus Gary. Bob Simpson went Morales versus Tom Aspinall. That fight might happen before John Jones fights Tom Aspinall.
I believe that.
M.A. Rax says Prates versus Morales. He wants it.
I like that fight, but I feel like that's one you wait for. Like I feel like that's something that you can make it a year or two still.
He says I like the idea though. He says 5-round featured bout at International Fight Week. I mean, that International Fight Week is like a week for an international fight, not for a regular card. I'm going third from the top on a pay-per-view. So I want, huge headlining fight as a main event title fight. Say we'll just go like Pajeda rematch and Ankalaev. Second one down, give me like that that one that doesn't sell as much, the lesser title fight. Mm-hmm. We'll go like Shevchenko versus somebody. Whaley would be pretty big, but Shevchenko versus insert, or Whaley say she stays at strawweight versus the female fight. Then
fair enough.
I'll put Morales as the B side. I'm giving him the fight that you had probably the longest pause on. I'm giving him Bilal Muhammad.
Really?
Because it's such a different stylistic matchup than he's had. Someone who's going to be in his face, pressing the action, trying to wrestle in him. And I didn't want him facing a guy that's getting a call soon. So I didn't want Sean Brady. I didn't want Sean Brady. I didn't want Shavkat. I didn't, you know what I mean? I didn't want Ian Gary. I want to keep away from those three.
Same here.
I'm doing Bilal, and it works out to me. I think it's a win-win situation because if Bilal wins, you kind of put him back in the mix. Say what you want about Bilal. People don't like him, but he's pretty good on the mic. No, he's not. He's not. Ian Gary on the mic or something like that. But he's got some charisma and everything. And if he beats Morales, it doesn't end Morales because he's so young. Yeah, it'll take some shine off for him, but I still feel like the way like Ian Gary when he lost his first fight, like in a sense, the way Gary lost to Shavkat, he actually gained clout. People said,
Gary.
Yeah,
he looked better in the loss to Shavkat than he did in the win over who was it that Gary just barely beat?
Prates.
Yeah, exactly.
And then if Morales wins on a pay-per-view and say he does in some spectacular fashion, like if he does what he just did to Gilbert Burns, are you kidding me? You got to make a star. So that's what I'm doing. Let's go with Burns real quick. He's on a 4-fight losing streak. What are you doing with him?
You can only lose so many times before you start to lose some stock. And so build up either him or Colby. Match up Colby. Whoever wins still has some name value.
Yeah, I thought about that Colby when I was looking at it, and Burns has really he's mentioned Colby a lot. So yes. I was leaning that way, but I feel like I'm at the point. Somehow there's still people who like the Colby stick, the whole how Colby like talking shit to Ian Gary and them having to be separated was such a. It was so stupid. It was so free. It was beyond stupid. Where if I was in the UFC right now, the way you beat Colby's trash talk is if you're doing like you're in a situation like that, and Colby starts running his mouth and you're doing an interview. You don't even you keep it doing an interview. He'll come and be like, you're like, stupid Covington saying something. Like, I'm not wasting my time with some guy that's lost 5 fights in a row. Whatever. You gotta just say something like that. And you don't even that would be the biggest like got him. like dude, you're not even close to my level. Why am I gonna bother talking to you?
I think the last fight he won was Masvidal.
Yeah.
So that was what 4 years ago, and Masvidal lost like the last 4 or 5 fights in the UFC. So Colby's almost irrelevant.
Yeah, but to my point is, what I would do with Colby is I would get him in a matchup that he could actually win, and I don't know if he beats Burns. I don't know if he beats Burns. Both of them in their prime. I think that was a bad stylistic matchup for him. So
agreed.
I give Colby a name like a Chiesa, something like that, and see if he can maybe get a win. And then you put him in that matchup where you get over the next big guy, have him saying stupid shit. But I'm just throwing Burns to anybody. I'm gonna give him like a Vicente Luque, Kevin Holland winner.
That'd still be a fun fight.
Yeah.
So I'd totally go for that.
So let's blast through these prelims a little quicker. The co-main event: Paul Craig versus Rodolfo Bellator got canceled. I was disappointed in the way like I just want to get that fight over with, but then I was also like, cool, like I really don't care about watching Paul Craig fight anymore. Co-main event. So I had a pretty good night of picks. I went 8-3. The problem is the 3 picks I went. They were the 3. Well, I'll get to that later. But 3 upset picks. I lost all of them. So I'm assuming Vegas, the odds makers, had a really good night. Sadiq Youssef took on Marian Santos. Santos won a unanimous decision. I was really impressed by Santos. It wasn't the most barn burner fight, especially compared to a lot of the fights tonight. But what I liked a lot of things I saw. I mean, the guy's only 24 years old, and he made improvements, and that's always a big thing to me. Guy's super accurate. He's good at beating his opponents to the point of contact, which is so amazing because when you look at his body, like when you look at Sadiq Youssef and you look at Santos, one is ripped to shreds. You could just see like, oh my god, like could be on the cover of a magazine, and the other guy's kind of doughy in the middle a little bit, and he's super fast. He doesn't waste any energy. I like a little bit more of an upkeep in output, but he improved his takedown defense. He's super hard to take down, and I like that. And the guy's only 24, so he's not Morales yet, but it's like you better fight him now because 3 years from now, this guy could be fighting for a title.
Yeah. And I think that's part of what Yusuf's thought process was when he took the fight, throwing the fact that it was relatively short notice, so they let them fight at 155. So in all honesty, a lot was leaning towards Yusuf to be able to pull this one off. And, I'm not going to say that Santos looked bad. He definitely looked good. I agree with you. But I don't know if it's that Santos looked that much better or if Yusuf is just, for whatever reason, that much more shot. Like, Yusuf does not look like he looks like a shell of the up and comer that we all thought was going to be somebody who just hovered around the top 10 forever. And
Francis, the MMA Rack says the real question is how good is Francis Marshall? I think it's an anomaly. I think that fight was an anomaly. I thought Marshall won that fight, but regardless,
same here.
I think that was an anomaly. But if it wasn't, I think Sadiq Yusuff, and the reason why I picked Sadiq was I thought he could implement the same game plan, be on the gas, be in his face, kick a lot, look to wrestle a lot. He did try to wrestle a lot, but he didn't have the output. He didn't have the pressure. The moments Sadiq didn't win many moments, but when he did, it was when he was forcing Santos on his back foot, winning a quick exchange. He was feinting so much, and I'm into feints. I yell at my son a million times, feint, set it up, feint. Like in wrestling, set it up, feint. Give me a feint. Like get him to move, get him to react. But he was doing too much of it and wasn't pressuring. He kept doing this stupid thing. It was so annoying. I don't know if you, because they're in Apex, keep hearing me. He was like making his own sound effects. Did you hear that?
I did not.
It was so annoying. He was going like, every time he faced, he's like, pa, 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 pa. It was like I'm sure, I don't know if that went over well on the replay. Watching listen to this on the probably that was probably too high pitched, but yeah, it reminded me like the old like 1960s 1950s Batman, like pow bam.
Oh god. I was gonna say, is it a Caitlin Chukagian fight? You know, where she chaos with everything.
That, but like what Caitlin would throw a punch, but it'd be like in that like space in between, but she at least throw a punch. He was just like faint. And I was like, dude, you saw how Marshall fought. You had to be on the gas and throw. And I didn't mind the feints, but like feint, punch, feint, punch, feint, punch, like not feint, pop,
mix it.
Feint. So
mix it, you know. I mean, feint, punch, feint, punch. You know, mix it so that he doesn't know when it's coming. But no, he just it was pretty easy to time.
And it's funny because he kept throwing like upper thigh kicks, which is fine. But when he went to the calves, he was having success. He just didn't do enough. I'm like, dude. And one thing, and yeah, I agree with a lot of people saying like Yusuff is not the guy that we think. He also he wasted years at the wrong team. So
yeah, and he wasn't active enough either. You know, he joined the UFC in 2018, so 7 years ago. This was his 10th fight. He's not even getting a fight and a half a year. That's, you know, when you join the UFC young, you need to be fighting as much as possible. I mean, look at what Neil Magny did. You know, I mean, he had that stretch where he fought like 9 times over 2 years. And how much he grew from that. I think that's always one of the bigger mistakes is when these guys join the UFC young and they don't get in there as much as they can.
Yeah. Santos, I think, looked good. I mean, it's regardless of how people feel about Yusuff, that's a nice name to have on your resume already. I'm giving him another name. Like, you win a fight like that, you're in the co-main event. But yeah, I know it wasn't planned to be the co-main event, but it became the co-main event. I'm giving him Dan Ige. I'm giving him a tough test.
Woo! That's a big jump, man. Wow. See, I was thinking something more along the lines of, let's put him in a fun fight, something where he's likely to get a lot of attention. And I was thinking, okay, let's do Doo-Ho Choi. He's been making a nice little comeback. He looks like but
I think he would. All right, you know what? Choi he has done a nice return. Like, I didn't expect him to do that well.
No.
Korean fighters are kind of like my poor man's version of New England fighters. Like, I tend to fade Korean fighters a lot. I mean, obviously the Korean Zombie and some guys have been pretty well, but generally speaking, I tend to fade them. But let's move on. There was one of the big news. Speaking of, lighter weight class guys. We kind of knew, it was already rumored, and there was some people already broke some news, but officially announced Patchy Mix is going to fight in the UFC. Give me it. How far does he make it? Give me the exact spot. Title, fights for the title, fights in number contender matchup. How far are we going?
Fights for title.
Oh, so you like him going a nice run.
I like Patchy. I think he's a stud. I don't want to pull the trigger and say he wins the title, but I do think that he eventually fights for it.
All right, let's move on. Yeah, I'll give my prediction in this fight in a couple weeks. Before that, Dustin Stoltzfus took on Nursultan Ruzabayev winning by unanimous decision. You were officially scoring for Sherdog. I want to ask you a question, and I was thinking this when you score a fight. Because I was thinking about when the big knockdown in the first round, which was obviously Stoltzfus' best moment, was from a headbutt. When you score, do you look at that like I saw a headbutt, I'm going to ignore that as a knockdown, or do you say, if I was a judge in the arena, I wouldn't have seen that as a headbutt. I'm going to score it like it was a knockdown.
That's a good question, because that was actually something that who was it that brought it up in the Sherdog Slack? Jay brought that up because he scored the first round for Ruzaboyev because he's like, I know that was a headbutt. Or no, he scored it. He scored it for Stoltzfus because he said, I couldn't tell that it was a headbutt. I wouldn't have known otherwise. But once I knew that it was a headbutt, I'm like, crap. I can't give that to Stoltzfus. So, yeah, no, exactly. So I totally understood that. Yeah. And I thought that was a really sharp thing from Jay. But yeah, no, I gave it to Ruzaboyev because I did know that it was a headbutt. And Ruzaboyev was piecing him up towards the end of the round as well. So even with that knockdown, I think that there would be a case, if it was a clean knockdown, I think there would be a case for Ruzaboyev. But knowing that it was a headbutt, an illegal headbutt that did it, an inadvertent one, but illegal nonetheless,
sure.
I had to give it to Ruzaboyev for sure.
Yeah, even though Ruzabayev was one to initiate. I mean, I shouldn't say headbutt. It was more of it was a clash of heads. It wasn't
clash of heads. Yeah, it was. I should
have said. But Ruzabayev was the one who kept coming up with that uppercut and leading with his head, and so he was actually the one who they clashed heads at one point. And they almost clashed heads later on. Both times was because of Ruzabayev, the way he fights. So this is what I was thinking about. Then just kind of going through things because I'm like, well, when I see a fight happens. This fight is actually a perfect example where Ruzabayev grabbed the fence a couple times. And I'm like, that should be a point.
Yeah.
But the referee doesn't call it a point. I don't send my scorecard in and go, well, it's a 9-9 round or it's a 10-8 round now. I don't do that. I don't go by, well, that's what it should have been. So by having the referee not say, hey, that was a clash of heads, I feel like I'm almost obligated to ignore it and act like it was how the reaction was. The referee reacted like he was dropped. You know what I mean? He didn't say, oh, that was a clash of heads. So I'm not saying, I'm just kind of talking this through. My own
you're good.
I really want to know what people think, how people would react to something like this, because it's, how should we be scoring? And I know obviously us scoring at home doesn't really matter, but the only three people that matter. But I would say, at least say this: you got to give the judges in attendance a little grace.
Some grace.
Yeah, they don't get that replay, but why shouldn't they? What's the? And I understand they have to hand in the scorecard immediately. I understand that, but why can't we show them? Hey, we just got word that was a clash. Here's the video. Does that change your scorecard? And if they say no, okay. Yeah, it actually does. I'll give it to the other guy now. Well, why can't we do that?
It's stubbornness. I mean, think about how long it took for baseball to have instant replay or that type, or challenges in the NFL, challenges in the NBA, stuff like that. I mean, I think that it's plausible. In fact, I'll say that it's likely that I think something like that could come down the pike, but I think it's going to take some more disastrous calls or scorecards or something like that before something like that gets instituted. Because I agree with you. I think that there's the technology for it. Why the hell not? But rules, laws, those aren't made unless somebody's breaking them, or unless you know that as well as anybody, being a detective. So
yeah, I know why they can't see a replay in general. Like when we get that, they go to the corner and they'll show all right, for example, say they're at Stoltzfus' corner, he's talking, and then they're going to Ruzabayev's corner, and then there's that 10 seconds where they're like showing the highlights. I understand why they can't see that, because then you can say the UFC is manipulating their broadcast team. They're are manipulating what they want their results to be. You know, you got a guy who's super marketable versus a guy who's not. You're showing the highlights of a super marketable guy that can. I understand that, but when there's something that's clear, really swaying something that's illegal, I think even accidental, I think that's something that should be replayed. But I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole. I like Uzuraev. I think obviously his size, he's kind of well rounded. I think he could be an issue in the division. There's some things I don't like. He's a little too wild for me. I think if he tightens stuff up, he overthrows his shots a lot. He keeps leading in this crazy uppercut. He's going to get absolutely smoked one time because of it. You know, and the way he overthrows, he's open to counters and takedowns. But if he actually could fight a little bit like Santos, like not to the extent like totally super not wasting energy, but just kind of find the balance between the two of them. I think he'd be dangerous.
Oh yeah. No, he's not a great athlete, but he's got a freakishly long frame. And even though I agree with you that he's on the wild side, he's actually surprisingly accurate for how wild that he is. And he's got some decent power, great finishing instincts. So no, there's a lot that he could do. It's just if he could find somebody, if he fights somebody disciplined enough, those holes can be exposed. And you know, the question is what's the cap for him? And throwing the fact too, he's got a lot of fights underneath his belt. I wonder how long he's going to be able to hold up, because he's already at something like 42 fights or something like. I don't know. He's fought a lot. But actually, though, the question that everybody has, Keith, he called out your boy.
Yeah. I was going to ignore that. When I spent, I don't know how many years as a challenge. One of the listeners, I think it. I don't remember who it was. I think it might have been my boy Jay, but I'm not really sure. I don't want to say it was Jade and then it was somebody else, but I think it might have been Jade who challenged me to say, "Hey, can you mention Bo Nickel every single show until he loses?" And I just started doing that. When I've talked about it for that long, it's like, all right, I try to ignore him now. Like, if he finally lost, like, I can move on. I understand why he would want to call out Bo. It to me, though, is like punching down. Not market-wise and not making him a star, but where they are in their careers. If I'm the UFC, Bo could win that fight.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm not doing it. I'm not booking Bo Nickel in a fight that he could lose next. I would give him the most unbelievable. He wouldn't fight a guy close to the rankings for 3 years. I would have him fight in tomato can after tomato can. And there's really no tomato cans in the UFC, but you get my point. Like
I totally get it.
Tresean Gore, he was booked against originally should be, and I think Tresean Gore is not that bad. Like, I think he's tougher than people think. Before that, absolute incredible fight between Julian Erosa versus Melquizael Costa.
Yes.
It's funny because I saw one or two scorecards out there for Erosa. I kind of got into it with Aaron. Not got into it, but Aaron Bronstetter scored it for Costa. But he said, "Oh, really close fight, really hard one to score." Comes down how he scored a second. I was like, "Really?" I thought it was an incredible fight. Don't get me wrong. Fight of the night, incredible. I didn't think it was a hard fight to score.
No, I didn't think so either.
I thought the only thing that was hard to score was whether you give Costa a 10-8 first round.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was curious about that. Erosa got a little bit of offense late in the round, and so I was like, okay, we'll keep it 10-9. And the second round, yeah, Erosa made a nice little comeback to end the last minute or so in the round, but most of the round was Costa all the way. So in my mind, first round, definitely Costa. Second round, definitely Costa. Third round, Erosa made a hell of a comeback. And nearly got the finish, but in the end, he just got the round, didn't get the fight. So,
yeah, I thought when they come to the second round, to me, it was just Costa, especially early on, was hurting Erosa, was buckling him, looking where it's like, oh man, he can knock him out. Never once in the second round did I say, oh, Rosa got Costa hurt. He might have came on a little stronger at the end, upped his volume, and then he went berserker in the third, which he fights that way anyways. But I also think his corner said, hey, dude, you're down 2. We need to finish it. And how do you not freaking love this dude? How do you not love Julian Erosa? I mean, we love both of these guys. I think these are 2 guys that both me and Ben were high on. I don't know. How did you feel? I mean, how did you feel about, like, obviously Erosa is what he is. Erosa's never going to win a title. He's never going to be a title contender, but he's a fan favorite. I mean, how could you not love the guy? But what do you think about Costa? Was Costa a guy that you liked? Like you could, I view him as he could be a top 15 guy.
I didn't quite see him at that stage. Like, I thought that he could be not quite as berserker as Erosa, but somebody similar to Erosa, where he's gonna put on a bunch of fun fights, but probably never gonna quite break into the UFC's top 15. At this point, though, I'm thinking differently. He's showing a lot of improvements. This was his 3rd fight within the calendar year, and now his 3rd win. You know, he's doing exactly the type of things that I think a young fighter should be doing, and getting in there, getting experience, and learning and growing, because he's looking better each time out.
Yeah, I mean, he could not miss earlier. I mean, the first 2 rounds, he could not miss. He was fast. He couldn't miss. He has that big kicking game. He kicks super hard. The one thing that I always pause about him, and we saw it a little bit in this fight, is his takedown defense. And it's not that I don't think he has bad takedown defense. It's just, he's more of an opportunistic grappler, where he will look at the other, he'll jump guillotine. And there's certain guys that are just going to beat you because of that. You got to put he'll put himself in a bad position. Now, he's a slick grappler. We've already seen him sub guys in the UFC. I mean, he almost had a guillotine on Julian Erosa tonight. But that, like, he's going to have a loss against somebody who just simply wrestles him.
Yep.
Somebody that he should be better than. So that's concerning. As far as Erosa, like, what a play. I mean, this guy's output, pressure, cardio, it is like what he did tonight, where he's almost like running at him every exchange. The amount of output he put in probably the last 2 minutes of the fight was that's not different style, but that's Merab level cardio.
Yeah.
Obviously, Merab is, wrestling takedowns, that kind of, but still, like, I couldn't imagine this guy like running on a treadmill. He throwing the fact. Yeah, he could run from, like, they're in Vegas right now. He could run from Vegas to my house right now and be like, all right, I'm gonna run back now.
Well, and throwing the fact too, Erosa basically got the crap beat out of him for the first 8 minutes of that fight. Like, he was stumbling around. So that only adds to how much more impressive it is. Take a beating and then start running like that.
So I asked you to give me an opponent for Costa. What do you got?
I 100% agree with you that it's somebody who's a decent wrestler is going to beat him. So I'm having fun with him still. He's providing a lot of fun fights. So I actually say Edson Barboza.
Oh God, that fight would be awesome. That's a great call. That's a great call. That's a great call. I like him in mind. I was giving him a name. I wanted to give him like a co-main event of a fight night, and I just think what he's doing, he deserves a name. I was giving him Josh Emmett. A guy who's a name, but like kind of on his way out. I also want that like guy who could wrestle him, but probably wouldn't. I think he wins that fight too if they fought. I think Costa wins. I think there'd be a clear, obviously, Emmett always has that punching power. He could knock anybody out. But, I also think there's a clear avenue of victory where he could wrestle. I just don't think Emmett would take it.
Yeah.
He did wrestle, to his credit. He did try wrestling more in his last fights. So,
no, I do think that he could beat Emmett, but I also think that if he beats Emmett right now, he gets rushed a little bit too quick. Whereas I think that he's more likely to get more time if it's Barboza, because Barboza's already fallen down somewhat. So
I actually think, though, Barboza's a tougher matchup.
No, I agree. I agree, but yeah, exactly.
Before that, so I'd say I had a pretty good night. I think my best call was this one. Gabe Green pulled off the upset against UFC newcomer Matthias Camilla, winning by second round sub. It's so fun. I love how Green came out very aggressive in the second round, and he didn't do it in the first round. And I'm like, dude, the first round, I'm like, dude, the whole reason I picked you is because of that like super aggressiveness of your style. Like, but I way he fought in the second, I think that might have had a little bit to do with like new weight class, the weight cut, worried about that. Green's never going to be a title contender.
No.
But he could become an Arosa style where he's going to take a beating, come forward, have some fun matchups, especially in his weight class. What did you think about Camilo? I wasn't sold on him, and somehow in a loss, I feel better about him moving forward.
He looked really good that first round, but I mean, you and some of the comments in there as well, they're saying the same thing, and I 100% agree. Green did not look good that first round. I don't know if he was just trying to make reads or what. But Camilo basically did whatever the hell he wanted with him at that point. And I just thought, oh boy, I don't know what injury it was that Green had, but he doesn't look like the same fighter. He might be done. And then, like you said, he just turned on the Jets in the second round, and holy crap, it was almost like you were talking about how this might have been a trap fight for Morales against Burns. That's what this turned into for Camilo, because he was the one with all the hype coming into this, and then Green just outfoxed him, and I don't know. Maybe he was just trying to make Camilo comfortable in the second round, because two completely different fights within each of those rounds.
Yeah. One thing that happened, and you've been around for a long time, so you'll get this reference. I wonder if. And something might have been a mental break, and that's what Green kind of talked to. He said that he could feel him get frustrated when he got out of the triangle, and then he got out of the arm bar and everything. I wonder if he got injured, because there was a moment where when Green eventually broke free, he could have still been in guard, and he like rolled away in this weird sense, like he was almost injured, and then Green just easily took his back and subbed him. And I was like, I wonder if he got injured.
It's
and then
possible.
It reminded me, and you'll get this reference, it reminded me of BJ Penn versus Matt Hughes 2, where Hughes was on top, but Penn was like, had him in like a triangle choke and was like elbow, and then all of a sudden, like, I think it was I want to say a rib popped out or something happened to BJ, and he completely suddenly blew his load. He was done. And then, we found out he got injured during that. It was like something like cartilage in his ribs or something like that. I wonder if something like that happened to Camilo. And again, it could have been just simply what they said about like mental break and I've been so close. Oh, I want this guy to stop. First UFC fight. Could have been that. Adrenaline dump. But I wouldn't be surprised if we find out that he got injured.
Yeah. No, I think that's a very good possibility. But I agree with you. There's still a lot of reasons to like Camilo going forward. And to be honest with you, I'm of the opinion that if you're going to lose, I think it's better to lose early in something like this.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. You don't work your way up, and then when they give you that step down, it's just a minor step. No, I think he's going to be fine. But so I think this is a good loss for him to take.
Christian Dyer said, "You guys seem to be old." Yeah, I don't know about Dayne. I am for sure. I've been watching MMA since I was 14 years old. I am in my 40s now. So I watched the first UFC I ever saw was UFC 6. Who wins? Martin Kampman versus McGregor. I think that's a good one. I'm gonna take Mystic Mac. Next one, Christian Dyer. But it's funny. Dayne, when did you start? Because I know you've been around for like when did you start following that?
I followed casually right around the same time that Zuffa bought it. I had seen it before then, and then I really started following it hardcore around.
That's in the 20s, UFC 20s.
Yeah,
so you were like 20s, yeah. So you're old school. So it's funny. Yeah. He's calling us old heads, and he's absolutely right. So thanks for joining.
Oh yeah, No, I mean he's saying that and you're talking about Matt Hughes and BJ Penn too. That fight ended with Hughes getting Penn in the crucifix and just pounding away at him.
Yeah.
I remember that much better than I do the fights from 2 or 3 weeks ago. No, the stuff from that era, it's right in there. But
yes, it's so funny. I'm 100% the same with you. And me and Ben have talked about this a bunch of times, and I know you're going to agree with this. It has to do with the anticipation. You didn't have fight every weekend, so you remember. And even and the reason why I wanted to bring this up, he mentioned Martin Kampmann, and so many people in the chat right now. First of all, a bunch of them won't even know who he is, but the ones who do will be like, "Oh, that's such an old school reference," and I'm thinking that's not old school at all.
No, that's not that long ago.
BJ Penn, Matt Hughes, to me, that's not an old school. Like, they're not old school guys. But many, like, people talk like all pioneers, like Matt Hughes. I'm like, oh man, but they're right. They're right though. They're right.
I get it, but I don't think of it that way. Like, you want to talk pioneers? Okay, let's talk Dan Severn. Let's talk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Harold Howard. But yeah, no. Anyway, is it time for the get to know your host segment yet, or?
Yeah, I think my internet went out for a second, but hopefully we didn't lose connection. But are we still good, guys? It gave me like we lost internet. Are we still? Is anybody still there? I just want to make sure we're just not talking to the rest of us.
I see random.
Okay, so people can still comment, so we still must be there.
Okay, okay, cool.
Dude, you are the best because I was into right to the part where it's get to know your host, everyone's favorite. Seriously, the amount of people that reach out to me about this part, they like this more than the fights. And I'm 100% with you guys. I guess that's like the ego in me, the narcissist in me. So, and continue to reach out and let us know what questions you want to know. And obviously we'll try to read as many people in the chat. Today's question is, give me 3 of your favorite hobbies, pastimes, something that is not MMA related. So I don't want to say watching MMA or training BJJ, something that's not like that. I want 3 things about Dayne that people might not know.
All right. So first of all, I'll say French toast, dude. No waffles. Hell no. I don't know who said that, but anyway, just referencing.
I got absolutely mercy rule in the pancake. Dude, that's the biggest upset in the history of MMA. I still can't believe that waffles beat pancakes. But
I'm with you.
Tell us what you do. Tell us what you do outside of MMA.
Okay, so outside of MMA, as I get older, it's harder for me to be able to find time to do more physical things and stuff like that, especially with my wife, because there's a big size difference between the two of us. I'm about 6'4", she's about 5 foot. So, so the thing that we do together a lot, we play a lot of board games. So
nice.
And yeah, I'm not talking about things like Monopoly or Clue. Those ones, those ones aren't that fun. I like more complicated. The one that we discovered recently was Final Girl. I don't know if you've heard of that. Probably not, but the idea of it is, you know what a Final Girl is with movies, right? Like in horror movies?
No.
Okay, so like
just the last one to kill kind of thing?
Yeah. Like every single time there's the
the main character.
Every
Scream, the girl from Party of 5 or whatever.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Scream, the 13th.
I mix up Scream.
Yeah. It's always a girl. It's always a girl.
Hot ticket, yeah, got it. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a series of games where you can mix and match like the killer. So you can take like a killer that's basically like Jason and then have it exist in the world of the Thing. So like in an Antarctic base and stuff like that. And so you mix and match the things, or you could do a classic game. It's a lot of fun, actually. Another one we really like is Arkham Horror LCG. And no, Mr. Butterfield, it is not Warhammer 40K in the background. That is actually my Arkham Horror LCG boxes. And then my wife really likes Azul.
Hey,
anyway, enough on that.
Dayne, speak English for our listeners.
Azul it's the name of a game. I know that it's blue in Spanish, but yeah. So anyway, Butterfield gets it. So there we go. We're good. Number 2, or should we alternate? Should we have you do one now, or should we have me do all 3?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's do that. That's good hosted. So as I've gotten older, I've really I'm a pretty religious person, and like I believe in God. I'm a Christian. But one thing where I connect with God is in nature. Like and as I've gotten older, I've appreciated so I love camping. All right. So my number one pastime is like kid sports, but I don't count that because like it's being a dad. It's not like, I go to my kids wrestling, I go to my kids softball though. So that's like 90% of my time when I'm not doing it, but we'll put that to the side. This is like when I have a weekend off, I want to do something. I love camping. I love hiking and going on bike rides with the family, just the family, like just us. Like I'm not doing like crazy, like 50 miles on the bike or something like that. But that's what I like to do. So camping, kayaking, that I really enjoy that. Like being out in nature, maybe seeing like a hawk or something. I get super excited for shit like that. So one of the coolest moments I ever had, I remember like being on top of this mountain and like stopping and thanking God for it. We were at Acadia National Park in Maine, which is already incredible. If it's incredible, and we're climbing, we're hiking, but it's like high in a like mountain cliff, and we're coming our way down, and we had this wide open plain where you could just have there was huge mountains and big trees, and there was like a lake below. It was like, I mean, this is like this would be on the screensaver on your computer. It was like incredible. So I was already like connecting, and then all of a sudden I saw this shadowy thing go over my head, and I look up, and there's a bald eagle. It's not 10 feet above me, and I'm like, oh my god! Guys, look up! And our whole family looks up. And then while we're looking up, a second one about the same height comes right by too with us. And I remember stopping and being like, thanking God, like, God, thank you for given us that moment. Like, I truly believe like God gave me that moment, but I don't want to get too preachy, but that's so nature, doing stuff in nature. So go, give me another one.
There we go. Okay. And I find it kind of funny because number 2 that I've got, a lot of the people on the chat are actually kind of talking about that a lot similarly. I'm a big movie buff. I feel kind of stupid because you were talking about The Founder, and no, I haven't seen that one. But along those lines, I know that people don't do it anymore, but I still collect physical media with regards to DVDs. So I've probably got about 1,000.
Do you have like do you have like a go-to genre? Like, you have like a go-to genre?
If right now it would probably be horror, because my wife did not ever watch horror before she met me.
Me neither. And then I'm such a chicken. Yeah. I'm such a chicken.
I've always liked it, but she wouldn't watch it, and I'm like, no, you just got to check this out. And I finally got her into it. And now that's the only thing she ever wants to watch. Anymore,
no way. So. Dude, I'm such a whip. You know what horror is for me, and you won't even consider like The Sixth Sense. Like that's like, that's my favorite horror movie. Like, feel like that's not horror. I'm like, what are you talking about? They was like, no, movie. I get scared. Like, what are you talking about? Every time I start going, I was scared.
No, like it's the last movie that really just messed with my head was probably Hereditary. That is such a jacked up movie. Good movie, but no, it messes with your head 100%. Nosferatu, great ambiance.
If I watch a horror movie, I'm saying prayers. I go to bed. Every little creak, I'm like, the power of Christ compels you.
You've got multiple recommendations in the chat of watching The Thing, and The Thing is a fantastic movie. So, yeah,
no, I'd be terrified.
You guys should totally watch it. But yeah, no, they don't make movies the way that they used to. The Thing came out in 1982, but it has some of the most absolute best traditional special effects. There's no CGI or anything like that, and you just look at that and you're like, how did they do that over 40 years ago? Just it's fantastic. So anyway.
Paul Barrett saw Master and Commander. I saw Master and Commander. First of all, it's a fantastic movie. I saw it when I was in the Army, on my way back from Iraq, we stopped in Kuwait, and I watched it at a movie theater in Kuwait. So I'll always remember that.
Ooh.
Yes. So that was kind of a very cool experience. So anytime I think of that, if I see that movie, I'll never watch it, but if you see it like on a clip or something, I'll think about that. So, yeah, it's a great movie. Great movie.
Great movie. Agreed.
All right, so I'll put you on the spot. What's your favorite movie ever?
Ooh,
movie, or however you want to categorize it.
I'll probably go with The Dark Knight. I'll be traditional in that sense. I know a lot of people love that, but
yeah, it's a great movie. And I'm not a superhero movie. I'm not a superhero type person, but that actually is one. That's a great one. All right, so second one I like doing, and this definitely as I've gotten older, I enjoy fixing things, and I'm not like good big construction worker, but I like being busy with my hands, like whether it be cars, home improvement. Some things I don't like doing, like the things that you have to do, I don't like doing. So like I have to do landscaping, cutting the grass. I have to do. I do every single week. I don't like doing that. Painting, I hate painting, but I like doing like woodworking projects. Getting the miter saw out and table saw and stuff like that. I like doing that. I like doing like fixing cars. I'm definitely not like a big super handy like that. But like today, I have my whole front of my car off because the hood latch, the cable that releases the hood broke. So I take all this, but it's very easy fix. It's just hard to get to. So you can take all this stuff off. Tomorrow I'm replacing my son's window. So. So I like doing stuff like that. Like I get pride in it. All right, give me your last one.
Last one. All right. So this one I don't do as much just because it's cost so much more than what it used to back in the day. But if I can still do it, I love to do it. Go to a good metal concert. Been doing that. I've probably been to about 100 or so, something in that neighborhood. But the ticket prices have gone up so much, and then there's so much more with the convenience fees. It used to be that $3 or $4 convenience fee, and now it's like $20 on the convenience fee. It's a load of crap. But my very first concert was Metallica in Mudvayne. It was fantastic.
You would have loved you would have loved the preview show. We had a whole Metallica section. I think Ben would be much better at talking about that with
I've talked with Ben about this type of stuff. Yeah, no, I've talked with him.
He loves he's good when it comes. Yeah, you and him would. If you guys ever meet each, have you ever met Ben?
I haven't. It's kind of funny because he lived in Utah for who knows how long, and that's where I'm at. But yeah. Oh man,
I can't wait. Me and Ben, that's a good one. We're supposed to meet each other in August, and I honestly can't wait. I mean, we've been doing a show together for 5 years, and I'm so excited to meet him and like in person, and I hope we get to spend a lot of time. Like, I hope hope he doesn't feel rushed, and like he's gonna be around my family, my uncle, but we're super excited for him, his wife, whatever. All right, so a third hobby, and I'll give this, and it was I kind of had a feeling this one would go a little longer, and I've been reading people's comments. I want to answer one. Antoine Willis said, "Have I seen Full Metal Jacket?" I have seen Full Metal Jacket. I love military movies, so which kind of goes into my next one. I love documentaries. I love watching documentaries. I love. I watch a lot of true crime one, but I won't watch like the crime that happened in little Wichita, Kansas. I like the big ones that. For example, the other night. So the way I always do tape study like a week ahead, but there's no UFC this week, so I get a lot more downtime this week. Even though there's a card tonight, we would normally tape the show tomorrow, so you have to preview before it. So being that there's nothing to tape tomorrow, I was watching a thing on the John Lennon assassination. So I like watching stuff like that. So I've watched tons of stuff on OJ and tons of stuff on Waco and the Menendez bro. I know way more about the Menendez brothers than I should and stuff like that. So there you guys have it. There was the Know Your Host portion. Thank you guys. A lot of people were hitting up the things they like to do, and sometimes I forget to scroll down. But yeah, like a lot of people putting all their movies. You got the people. People love talking about their favorite movies, so you got the movies going. they're talking about some kind of game thing. So I don't know it, but like you told me, like strategy game. I think of Risk. Like that's probably like the only game I've played. Or Settlers, that was another one I've played, but probably like the
gaming it's a huge rabbit hole. Probably the most known card game at this point is Magic the Gathering, but I had to stop on that one because I have a very collective personality, and that one will never stop. So they just keep releasing cards, and I would be thousands of dollars into it. So I had to stop on that one years ago.
I feel like Ben would know about that. Like he'd probably be good at that.
Oh, I think he would, based on some of the conversations I've had. But yeah, I've had to just focus on a few of them because it's a rabbit hole, and it is so bad. But anyway, yeah.
Eric is a true man. Cars, math. I don't know where that came from, but cars, guns, fighting. Like he's a man's man right there. All right, let's move on. One of the fights, I think the UFC broadcast, I don't really get into the betting lines much, but one of the I think they said was the closest betting line, guys, correct me if I was wrong about this, was Jared Gordon versus Thiago Moises. I agreed with it. It was possibly the hardest fight I had of picking. I was on the right side, but I didn't expect to be a slacking one way or the other. So like, even though I got this one right, I don't feel like I did. I don't think anybody thought that Jared Gordon was going to get pretty much a walk-off KO.
I don't think anybody did. No, I'm with you on that. What was the last finish that Gordon had? Oh God, let me look that up really quick.
If he did, it was probably more either a submission or like a cumulative one where it's the cardio, the output. It's one of those. It's not he just catches a guy, knocks him out. Like I definitely think. All right, he took out Marco Madsen, but Jusek said that.
That's right. That's right.
But how did he do it? He was stuffing takedowns. He did a lot of knees to the body. It was a cumulative thing.
But he just deaded Thiago.
So he said MMA saying he one punched. Yeah, but it wasn't like he might have finished him finally with one punch, but it was all the work before that. One thing I thought was really smart by Gordon was to get a takedown early, to kind of get that idea of wrestling early, and then that's when then the second time, like that was the big moment. The second time they kind of get back to the feet. Now he's boxing, and that's when he catches them. So I obviously he caught him clean, and moving forward, I'm not taking Jared Gordon to knock people out. That was really fun, and I'm glad he had that. And I hope I'm wrong, but I really think the wrestling set up that knockout.
I would agree with that.
So he mentioned something, and I was looking into it. Could you imagine where he would be right now if he lost an extremely controversial fight to Paddy Pimblett and another one to Nasrat Haqparast? Haqparast was a split decision. Paddy was unanimous, but majority of people were on Paddy. It was on Gordon over Paddy. If he wins both those fights, he's on a fight winning streak. Taking out the no contest with the Bobby Green fight.
He was losing the Bobby Green fight, if I'm not mistaken.
It was very early though. He was. He was.
No, that is true. That is true. But yeah, and I'm with him. I thought that he beat Paddy. I 100% agree with that.
I like Gordon. I love overachievers. What would you do with Gordon? I'm going pretty high.
So I admit I kind of decided to go in the direction of somebody else who I think is deserving of step up in competition, and I think it would just be a battle of bowling balls that continually press forward. So I actually gave him Mateusz Rebecki.
Oh, I love that. You know why I love it so much? I had the same name. That's
really,
yeah. Nice job. I almost gave it to Gamrot Klein, loser of that matchup, as kind of like a bounce back. But then I'm like, you know what? If you're trying to bounce those guys back, and I'd probably expect him to beat Gordon, but that ain't a sure thing the way Gordon is. Before that, the sure thing, the big battle, the battle of New England versus Houston. Conor Matthews took on Yardia Davali. Davali winning by first round sub. I mean, what an absolute mismatch this was. This is the difference between a guy that probably shouldn't be in the UFC versus a guy who's a real prospect in the UFC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it was. Go ahead. Like, because
no,
you know, I know that you love to rip on your local guys, so go ahead and rip Conor Matthews a new one.
I mean, how much longer? I don't think he's gonna get another shot in the UFC. I really don't. I think the reason why he got this shot was the short notice, somewhat short notice fight. One of those, but it is a perfect example that you shouldn't have Conor Matthews' regional resume and then go into the UFC. You don't go by fighting absolute tomato. When I say tomato cans, I'm talking tomato cans, not like lower level region. Like, I mean, the bums of the regional scene, the lowest guys of the regional scene, the nobodies, the guys that you brought in. Listen, I understand that happens. You have your CES and you have your cash cow in a main event. He's supposed to win, then he loses, and you want to put him against a tomato can to kind of get him back on the right track. Okay. But not 5, 6, 7, 8 fights in a row. And then pop in the UFC and go, oh, wow, I can't believe he's not winning. In Rhode Island, I don't throw him in Final X and wonder why can't my son beat Marcus Blaze? Because you don't go from wrestling the youth wrestling matches to freaking Final X. And that's basically the jump to doing. You don't wrestle in the Rhode Island High School State Championship to, the U.S. Open. Right now, I'm like, what are you talking about?
No, I honestly, I'm kind of happy that I gave you that, just because I agree. A lot of for whatever reason, the UFC has a love for the New England guys, and they give them a faster track than they do most others. So,
well, I know why, and it's kind of I've been told. I can tell you off the air. I don't want to get leaked secrets, but yes. Long story short, guys, someone knows somebody. That's it.
And that's what I figured it was.
Anything in life.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the mistake I made with college was I thought I was supposed to learn. No, I was supposed to network. I learned my stuff, but I didn't network very much, and that screwed me over pretty good.
I have a partner, and we get booked to a lot of trainings together, and it's so funny because I'm getting close to where I can retire soon. And it's a girl that's my partner. She jokes. She goes, I always know when you're going to talk to somebody. And I'm like, I do go to the trainings to learn, but I also go to training. Every training I go to, I got to find one person and get their phone number and network with them, because I'm coming up for retirement soon, and it's good to know somebody. It's good to say, yep. Oh, I know that guy. Yeah, he's all right. So yeah. As far as, and I don't want the idea to get ignored here. Really good show. I mean, he did what a top, guy that people are excited to see. He ran right through him. He just threw him right on his head, cut right through his guard, took his back, choked him out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, that to me, like that's a, arrow going up. Do you feel the same way? You like him moving forward?
Yeah, no, I think that he's a good looking prospect. I felt like it was basically a guaranteed win with this one. I think you said on the show with Ben that bet your house on this fight pretty much, just because you were that down on Conor. But it's not like Yadier's a bad prospect. He looks really good. I could see them potentially fast tracking him based on that performance, but I don't necessarily think that would be the right thing to do, because he's still fairly raw. But I don't know. We'll see.
Before that, one of the upset picks, Luana Santos take on Tanara Lisboa. I picked Lisboa. Did not. This was another really bad call. That said, I've said this a million times, and I know you feel the same when you're right. I don't care who wins or loses. I really don't. I want to be surprised. I want to be excited. And I was excited. I was excited because I saw a key lock. in MMA, like a loss submission that we don't see anymore. I was excited about that.
Yeah. No, like that's like a relic of a submission that you used to see 20, 25 years ago. You know, that's the type of stuff that Dan Severn was doing to people.
Josh Barnett.
I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember the last one that I saw, to be honest with you. It certainly, that might be the first one that I can remember seeing in women's MMA, or at least high-level women's MMA.
Yeah, I don't know. So admitting that she had to learn to walk again. Yeah, we probably should have paid attention to that. Good call there, my man. Maybe don't pick the person who don't know how to walk in the return fight. Santos, she moved up to bantamweight. I do think that was a really smart move, simply for the fact that bantamweight is just not as deep. It's an easier, road. And then. The thing I think Lisboa throwing kicks. The first round, I'll give her a pass because you might not be expecting Santos struggled against O'Neal. You might not expecting her to close the distance, kind of shoot, take you down. But when she took you down, held you down, beat you up on the ground, to come out throwing a lazy kick like to the mid thigh area where she could just grab it and trip you down, like there's no getting that, because right away you'd be like, guys, don't throw kicks. If you throw something, you got to do like knees up the middle. You can't throw kicks. To throw a lazy kick, I'm like, like arrow down, moving forward, poor fight IQ. Like,
yeah.
So, I mean, Santos obviously is the more marketable fighter of the two. Before that was another female fight. They pushed all the female fights very early on. Denise Gomez took on Elise Reed. Gomez winning by second round TKO. The real winner of this fight, Michael Bisping. I'll say this. Bisping gets a lot of hate for his commentary, and a lot of it he brings himself. But to his credit, he was dead on in this fight when he said the way Reed's dropping her hand, she's going to be open to a straight right over the top. And it happened. She got dropped one, and then later on, it happened again.
Yeah. So, no, Bisping had his eye on that for sure. Literally.
Yeah. Reed, I thought she was looking pretty good recently in fights, but that defense was bad, especially against a power puncher like Gomez. What I like about Gomez, I mean, she's got 3 wins in a row, and she can hit hard, which is not a thing in that division. Not many girls can. There's girls who would have hurt Reed, but not put her out like that. So she's got 3 wins in a row. I'm a little bit of a believer. Are you a believer?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely a believer. I just, you talk about Bo Nickel being slow tracked. I still think that you don't rush Gomez. That's not me saying I'm not a believer, because I'm guessing that you have a name for her that you're thinking of maybe throwing out.
No, I didn't write one down, but give me yours. I know you do. I know you do the whole roster.
You're not wrong. Sam Hughes. Somebody that just
like
won't go away.
Similar like Reed, like very boxing style, got to be like a grinder, better fighter than you think.
Yes, but it's just Hughes has been damn near impossible to put away, whereas Reed, well, it hasn't been damn near impossible to put her away. So I just think that's somebody that is probably going to survive whatever onslaught Gomez has early, and is going to be there at the end. So yeah, I'm curious about how Gomes does with that. So that's my thoughts.
I had 3 fights wrong. I mentioned it, and the ones I got wrong, terribly wrong. It was Sadiq Yusuf. Before that, it was Tanara Lisboa. And the first one was the matchup we're going to talk about. Hun Sung Park took on Carlos Hernandez, and I picked Hernandez, but Park won by first round submission. Right away, I mean, this guy's freaking huge for the weight class.
Yes.
He's undefeated. I'm going to ask you the same question and just go, you don't have to give me a name or anything, but I mean, right away when you have an undefeated fighter, do you believe in that undefeated record?
No. Don't get me wrong. That's not me saying that Park is a bum. Like I like him much better after this performance than I did prior. It's just I'm not big on the road to UFC, guys. I feel like the UFC is trying desperately to tap into that market, and they're doing whatever they can to potentially mine some sort of star that comes out of nowhere. And who knows? Park could be that guy. I don't think he is, but there's certainly potential there. And at the very least, I think he's somebody that could hang around for the next 5 or 6 years and put on some fun fights. But do I see him being a future contender? No.
Yeah, I kind of feel the way. I feel the same way about Park that I feel about like Mike Malott, where there is something there. He can be a tough test. Again, this guy's undefeated. He's 9 or 10-0 now, I think it is, or whatever his record is. That obviously looks good. But I feel like how you feel like Malott, like he's good. He's the star for Canada, but that he's not going to be the overall star. And I kind of feel this in my Park. Like you can get him in that region, get excitement about him, have him be their guy, but their guy is only going to get top 20. But and again, I don't know if he's going to make that hard for him. But I will say this: when you are someone who's promising and you go against a guy who's like a lower level guy, you do this. I didn't really believe in his record, and obviously that's why I picked Hernandez, a low level guy. But he looks sensational. He showed that he's not a low level guy. He's not just he's not a blank record. He's not a blank resume where it's like he hasn't beat anybody. Well, look what he just did. He just ran through a UFC level guy. Like I think Hernandez is a UFC level guy, but he just ran right through him. First fight of the night, the most controversial fight was right off the bat is Tisha Torres took on Luana Pinheiro. Pennington, I'm sorry. I'm so used to calling her Torres. Won by unanimous decision. Super close fight. How did you score it?
I gave it 29-28 Pennington, but that was an extremely close fight.
Yeah, I had it. I had it the opposite. I gave it to Pinheiro. I checked and made a decision. I actually knew how you scored it, but 6-4 for Torres. So again, super close. I gave Pinheiro stealing the third round due to her judo, and I know what people are saying. Oh, his damage was to Torres. Torres, to me, she had like one combination. She had a really good combination, but the rest of them she didn't do much. And then if it was just takedowns, then I might not have given it to Pinheiro. But it was the way she took her down. They were judo throws. To me, like getting thrown on your back, all that's damage. So, but again, 100% okay with anybody who gave it to Tisha. Like,
yeah, no, it's one of those fights that you see somebody score it the other way, and you're just like, I have no problem with that. It's a very subjective fight because the ultimate criteria is damage. And it's impossible for us to know completely who was more damaging. It's all based on our eyes, and yeah. So very tough fight to score. But I will say this though, even though Pinheiro lost, that was actually probably her best performance in the UFC. I was actually more impressed with her in that loss than I was with any of her wins.
Yeah, she had moments. Yeah, I agree. I mean, her best win on paper is Michelle Waterson.
Yeah.
This is better than that. So I'm okay with that. So I agree. Let's get to the fun stuff. The Bulls, the Bears, the cut list, Dude Seriously, the awards. Let's do Dude Seriously. I don't have a big Dude Seriously this week. Do you have any Dude Seriously for us?
Not really. About the only thing is I felt like Denise Gomes could have finished that fight in the first round. She gave her that hematoma early on, and that within like a minute, and she was just rocking her. And then she spent like the last half of the round just laying on top of her. It's like, stand back up and just rock her again like you did the first half. And so if I have a Dude Seriously, it's like, Denise, you didn't want to finish? Dude, seriously? I mean, she did eventually get it, but it took her long enough.
I'll give you some. This has probably been going on, and shame on me for really not noticing. I'm doing a lot of things. I'm taking notes, and usually the Dude Seriously I get from something I heard a commentator say. But I was watching, I don't know who it was, and they're at the Apex, and all of a sudden I notice, wait a minute, as they're walking down, there's a security guard with them. They're in the Apex. Their entrance doesn't go by any fans at all. They go up from the back to the referee checking if they're wearing cup and if they're greased down and they have their mouthpiece. What do they need a security guard for? Like, dude, seriously?
Maybe they're worried about a 3-piece in the soda. I don't know.
I'm a big Melquizael Costa fan. I like this guy a lot. I think I'm higher on him than anybody that I've heard so far. But that entrance song, dude, seriously, what the fuck was that?
I was with Bisping on that one.
And my last one, just because I'm like trying to get dude seriously, and I didn't realize this before that, and I don't know why I didn't realize it. Like ESPN Plus, the commercials is always like the same like handful of commercials, but everybody gets different ones. So do you remember one that like you kept seeing all night tonight?
I kept getting the progressive one where the guy was talking through the bathroom door to like his teacher or counselor, whatever, asking about lunch. That was one I kept getting.
So I keep getting this, and I have to describe this one. It's a Disney commercial, and it's like a young lady. She goes into like they're at Disney. This young lady goes into a gift shop. She gets like the Disney hat, but she's getting it like custom made, while like boyfriend or husband or whatever is outside, and then she comes up to him and she hands him the Disney hat for him to wear with the Mickey Mouse ears, and it says. It's a Spanish couple. It says Papa on it. And he reads it. And all he's like, are you telling me that like you're pregnant? And she's like, yeah. And it's like this nice, sweet, and they're doing it somehow getting pregnant has to do with Disney, but it's like super sweet. The problem is for about a month straight, I watched that same fucking commercial. I've probably seen it 200 times now. It went from like the first time I saw it, like, oh, that's so sweet, and thinking about like my children and what my wife told me, to now like I hate that couple. Like I hate them. Like I hope the lady has a miscarriage. Like that's like. Now, obviously, I'm joking. I don't really want. Now, obviously, I know they're actors, but like Disney, ESPN Plus, dude. Seriously, mix up the rotation, please.
Yeah, no, I don't know if these advertisers realize if you overexpose it, people end up hating it, and they're going to go out of their way to not get that product.
I was sitting there thinking about like all the all the people that are going to compete for the UFC, and we'll probably should give an announcement what they're going to be on soon. And I really didn't care because I'm going to pay for whatever platform they have. And now I'm like, no, dude, seriously, please don't be ESPN. I can't do these commercials anymore. So. All right, let's get to the cut list. I only have one.
How many years? And I thought I was being generous. I only had one, and it's your boy Connor Matthews.
Yeah, Connor Matthews. Let's move on. I'm gonna hold the awards because it was gonna be a hard night for awards. So let's go to the Bulls and the Bears. The Bulls and Bears are, if you've never watched the show, it's a stock market reference. You want to be on the Bulls list. You don't want to be on the Bears list. We do it hockey, like stars of the night, 3, 2, 1. You want to be, like I said, you want to be on the Bulls list, so we keep it positive. Dayne, do you mind if I go first?
Please, by all means.
All right, my number 3 Bulls. So these are the good ones. I'm gonna go with my boy Costa, and it's not just that he's on a streak, but he's won 3 times in 2025 already. It's only May. This guy can win 4 or 5. I know he's I know he's good. They said he's like going on a honeymoon or something like that, but dude, my man Costa, his 2025 has been awesome. My number 2, people who have changed weight. They won, so technically they won 4-1 because Sadiq Yusuf went up and lost, but they won 4-1 of the night. Let's cancel out the Santos Yusuf fight because obviously they both did. So they went 3-0. Gabe Green went down in weight. He won. Uzabayev went up in weight and won, and Luana Santos went up in weight and won. So nice night for a change in the scales. And number one, I mean, to me, this is an absolute no-brainer. When we start talking about how far you get in the phone call, when you run through a guy like Gilbert Burns, I hate giving it to the main event guy, but this one the guy's 18-0, just beat Burns, 6-0 in the UFC, Michael Morales. So, what do you have for Bulls?
Can't disagree with any of them that you said. Got to give one to Jared Gordon. One punch deading Thiago Moises is impressive. Got to go with Denise Gomes as well. That's 3 wins in a row. She's looking like the next coming of Jessica Andrade in the strawweight division. So I'm not going to go so far as to say that she's going to be a champion, but I think she's going to be able to break into the top 5 at least temporarily at some point. And beyond that, even though I said I'm not a believer, I got to give Hyun Sung Park a lot of credit as well, because he looked like $1 million in disposing of Hernandez and did so in a way that I was not expecting whatsoever. So good on Park.
Let's go to the Bears. So this is the ones you don't want to be on. I'll let you kick that one off.
Okay, Bears. I got to go with Sadiq Youssef. I don't know exactly what happened, but he is most definitely not the guy that he's not who we thought he was. To chop up the Dennis Green quote a little bit. And it's kind of sad because I thought he was going to be a lot of fun, but yeah, I'm actually kind of depressed about that at this point. Another Bear. Tainara Lisboa. She learns to walk again only to just get shellacked in her first fight back. That was a sad appearance. And part of the reason why I say that is after her first couple of fights, I actually had a little bit of hope for her. I thought, oh, she could be something. But after that and the long layoff, I'm kind of off of her. And number 3, I try not to have Bears and Bulls on the same in the same fight.
Sure. Same.
But I kind of feel like I'm obligated to with regards to Thiago Moises. Just, he was able to crack the top 15. I think it was about 3 years ago, and he slid down so far that I feel like I don't think he's getting cut here, but I think one more loss in the UFC just might end up doing it, which is a far cry from where we all thought that he was going to be.
Yeah. So just to agree with you. I also try to stay away from Bulls and the Bears in the same fight, but I'm breaking that rule also, and I'm going with Gilbert Burns. The reason why he's number 3 on my list is he's lost to good people, and he's still like a fan favorite. Like I think he's still a name. People like him. He's such a likable guy. He's fighting, so he's never in boring fights. I shouldn't say never, but he's generally not a boring fighter. But you eventually got to win. So I'm going to go with Gilbert Burns. My number 2 is somebody that you kind of said, and I agree, that looked better tonight than she has in the past, but she's lost 4 fights in a row. Like Luana Pinheiro, you got to win one of these. And this was one of the fights that was right there for you to win. So Liana Pinheiro. But my number 1, I said I got 3 wrong. Ben ended up getting 4 wrong. But 3 of those 4, he agreed with me. They were our consensus upset picks. Our consensus upset picks is take it to the bank. You got it. I can't remember who it was, and I apologize. But somebody in the comments this week said we're gonna start tracking your consensus bets, and he's like, I'm gonna put $100 every consensus bet. I'm gonna make a $5 bet, see how long we can keep the $100 going. I said, don't do that. You're gonna curse us. Damn, bro, you cursed us. We went 0-3 on the. And the worst thing is, we weren't close. It's like there's sometimes you lose one. You're like, oh man, that was really close. The guy was like a negative, plus 400 underdog, and it came with split decision. And you're like, I kind of feel like I won that one. No. All 3 of our picks looked like trash. So not a good night for the consensus upset pick went down. I don't think I've ever done this in the history of the show. I'm still gonna leave the grade. Actually, let's do that. Let's do the grade first. What was your grade for the card?
There we go. For the most part, I got to give this a good grade. I'm going to say a B plus. Like, there wasn't any fight that was like a fight of the year caliber, which I think for something like this would have needed to push it into the A range. But there was a lot of good fights. There was a lot of fantastic finishes. And there really wasn't a stinker either. Like, the closest thing to a stinker was probably Santos and Yusuf. But that wasn't even necessarily a bad fight either. So I say a B plus.
I agree. I had the B plus is the exact same grade I put, and it just came. To me, it has more to do with the quality of the card. That automatically, like, it delivered as much as you possibly could help. All the stoppages, the performances in the main event. I think Costa and Arosa could get a mention on fight of the year. I don't think it will win because obviously it's usually always like a bigger name, like a Gaethje versus Poirier, something like that. But it was really, really fun, especially the third round. I think round 3 could be round of the year. Again, usually we'll give it to the bigger name, but that could be like those would be nominees. So like everything you wanted in the card, even like ending early, like we're about to end the show. It's going to be 11:30 when I end the show. After the, so everything to me went right. So that went perfect, but because there wasn't names, the co-main event was Sadiq Yusuf, and so I'm with you. It couldn't get an A. It wasn't a possibility, so I'll give it a B plus.
Yeah,
but because I talked about how everything went, I've never done this in the history of the show. But my last question is going to be the awards. Do you know the awards by any chance?
I do not.
Okay, so I do. And usually Ben asks me, so we're going to do it. We'll do it the other way around. There is one fight of the night. Pretty obvious.
Yep.
What would you give for the fight?
Agreed. You mentioned it already. Yeah. Totally.
All right. There's 2 performance bonuses. There was a lot of stoppages. There
should have been more.
It is hard to give out performances, and right away we're gonna have that person didn't get it. Who are your 2 performances?
Okay, so is this who I would give it to, or who I think it will?
Not guessing.
Okay,
not
okay.
guessing. Who you give it to, and then I'll tell you who the UFC did.
Okay. Because I'm teetering with regards to the Morales.
I'm okay.
No, I think I would give it to. I would probably give one to Morales for sure. And then
as would I would give Morales one just because of what he did in the minute.
Yeah.
So it was,
and I think he did as well.
Yeah, and he did. So Morales did get it.
Yeah,
and I think most people would give it to Morales. So it really was maybe. And let me give you some names. Santos co-main event, Ruzabayev, Costa, Green, Gordon, Del Val, Santos, Gomez, Park, and Pennington. So those are options. All those fighting for one spot, and there was a lot of good. And there's 4 or 5 you can throw right out, but there's 4 or 5 that are like, damn.
I'm going to say Gordon.
So Gordon is the person I wrote down who I would have gave it to, based on
but he didn't.
How he won and who he did it to. To me, it's 2 parts.
Yeah.
It's how they won and who it did to. So the person they gave it to, Denise Gomez. I understand the logic. Big shots, females. However, so how she did it, 100% agree. I don't think she had the who she did it to.
Agreed.
She was a big favorite. Gordon was in a pick'em. I would have gave it to Gordon. A couple other ones. How about Santos getting the key lock?
I was actually thinking about that. I was like, okay, is that who I would give it to? Just like you said, you never see a key lock anymore. So I thought about that.
How about Park just running right through Hernandez?
Yeah.
Nope. So there you guys have it. People, Duval, yeah. Duval running right through Matthews. So a lot of people, I mean, it seems like everyone's with Morales. Some people's on Morales, Yardier, Deval, MMA Racks saying Gordon got robbed. So there you guys have it. This is the hardest question. Who's your listener of the night?
Whoo! Oh, that's
the chat. The early nights, the chat is jumping, and these guys, they came through.
Yeah, no, and I'm probably going to say Christian Dyer. He's been giving me a lot of crap on there, more or less saying, "Hey, answer me." And I get where he's coming from, but I try not to be too active in the chat because it's a little bit difficult for me to completely concentrate on you as well as on the chat. But I think that he's been pretty active on there. So yeah, and we got to give an honorable mention to Portia Baines for her birthday as well. Apparently.
Oh, is today her birthday?
That's what it says on there.
Oh, listen. He's gonna be so mad. I think he left, but the way Bob Simpson came out, I was gonna give it to him. The guy's the ultimate troll. I never give it to him. There was one guy. I don't remember who it was. He had one line. He might have been in the chat a couple of times, but he said something pretty funny where he said, like how fights should be scored. I thought it was the funniest night. He goes, "Fights should just be scored the way I made my bets." I'm like, that was a really funny line. But Emirax had a really good night. Christian Dyer, excuse me, it was someone I was looking at. I was going to give it to Bob Simpson, which I never do. But Portia Baines, I always love that she can be in the chat. I know it's crazy early. But first of all, Portia, how old are you? I know she's crazy young, but she is we do have a lot of females. I don't know if any female is more committed than Portia Baines, both the preview and the recap show. So we appreciate that. I think Ninja Kitty said that she's a girl, but I don't know if she was trolling me. Ninja Kitty trolls me a lot, so screw that. But older than you think, 24. So happy 24th birthday to Portia Baines. You are my listener of the night. So there you guys have it. We have a week off, no preview show. We have what are you saying, Gordon? What's going on? What's he giving us shit for?
Jeez, these guys work for Sherdog?
Yeah, what that we just gave him listen what I say. What we spell Gordon wrong or something? If he did, it was probably me. It would not probably was. If Gordon is spelled wrong, it is definitely me. Anyways, so we don't have a show. So enjoy your week off from the recap show. Remember to come back 2 weeks from now. I know I speak for Dayne and I speak for everybody at Sherdog. I want to wish everybody next weekend is Memorial Day weekend. We want to wish everyone a happy Memorial Day weekend. I know that's in America. I don't know if you guys celebrate anything else in those foreign countries that you guys live in, but in America, happy Memorial Day. Obviously, I speak for everyone at Sherdog. The reason for Memorial Day is honoring those who not only served in our military, because I know I served in the military, but those who died. That's the big thing. They went beyond just serving. They actually gave their lives fighting in wars and fighting for our country. So I know this absolutely, my words can't ever like try to pay back or something, but that's the only thing I can do is to say how thankful we are for anybody who obviously gave the ultimate sacrifice for our country. So anyways, thank you to them and praying for all their families and everything. So enjoy your weekend, do all the fun stuff you guys do, camping and cookouts and get your board games on and everything. So Dayne, you're the man. I love always chatting with you. We don't do enough. Thank you so much. Say something funny as we leave.
Something funny.
See you guys next week. 2 weeks.